Lady yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Groffman from Wisconsin.
Yeah, just a couple comments first. As far as the idea of who's committing crimes, we have no idea how many illegal immigrants in this country are committing crimes because nobody keeps track. Okay, if I go to a prison or a jail in Wisconsin with, I don't know, 1,500 inmates, and I ask how many of these people are here illegally or how many are citizens of another country, nobody will know the answer to that question. So that's why we don't have hard facts on how many crimes people committed. The other thing I like to point out is every year in this country, about 850,000 new people from other countries are sworn in as American citizens. I don't know of Donald Trump ever talking about reducing that number. Maybe he should reduce that number, but I've never heard him talk about reducing that number. Our concern here was illegal immigration, and I would hope the vast majority of Americans think we ought to have a immigration law that the 850,000 new citizens every year go through. But if we're going to have an immigration law, it means we have to do something with the people who try to become permanent residents without going through the proper structure. Now, I think part of our problem here is we have a lot of people who don't understand why we have an immigration law at all. And I want to ask all four of you as I go down, we go down the row here, do you believe the United States should have an immigration law, or do you believe that just anybody should be able to show up and come in? And we'll start with Mayor Adams there.
I strongly believe we need to have an immigration law. I strongly believe we need to secure our borders. We witnessed a 90% decrease, and we're seeing that play out in our city. So we should have a strong immigration law.
Good. And I'll ask this question then. If you believe we should have an immigration law, and then we'll get all four of you here, if you believe that, do you believe people who ignore the law, whatever that law is, should be allowed in the country?
I think that all of us must be held accountable to the law, and if we secure our borders to make sure before they come in that is done correctly, it is not going to impact cities to carry that burden. Like I said, close to $7 billion in tax dollars.
Mr. Johnson, do you believe we ought to have an immigration law in this country, or do you believe everybody should just be able to walk in here and set up shop?
Thank you, sir. I do believe we should have an immigration law. I do believe we should have secure borders. I do believe we should fix our asylum process. I do believe we should let dreamers get access to permanent citizenship. I
Okay,
think
then the
there's lots
question
we could
is,
do.
if somebody ignores that law and comes in this country, do you believe the whoever, ICE or Border Patrol or anybody, should spin them around and send them out, or can they just ignore the law and because they, however, cross the Rio Grande, overstating a visa, whatever, are here? Do you believe that we ought to do something to the people who are ignoring the law?
Thank you, sir. In the case of the folks we're seeing, they are coming here because they are claiming asylum. When they claim asylum, they then have a right to a day in court to see if that asylum claim is
The
valid.
question is, though, if I come in this country and stay here and I have not gone through any formal process to become a citizen or to be a visa, legal visa or whatever, should we kick that person out?
The folks that we're serving, sir, are trying very hard to navigate that legal process. It's often a 7-year wait for a court date when they arrive to this country, so part of it is
Okay.
the backlogged
Let me
administrative
tell
needs
you
of the
this.
border.
Every month under President Biden, at least the statistics I have, 30 to 40,000 people, what are called gotaways, came across the southern border, didn't ask for asylum, didn't ask for anything. Do you believe that people who just come across that way should be escorted out of the country, or do you believe just because they ran between the designated checkpoints that they, as the result, get to stay here forever?
Again, sir, we're serving folks who are seeking asylum or have status,
Well, of course,
like temporary protective
you
status.
wouldn't even know that.
Or CBP 1.
Okay, next, Mayor Johnson, buddy from Chicago. What do you think? Should we have an immigration law in this country, or should anybody who comes here just be able to stay here?
I do support the bipartisan legislation that was passed out of the Senate for comprehensive immigration
Well,
reform.
no, that's not answering the question. Right now, people are breaking the law. Do you believe the United States should have an immigration law? As far as I know, every country in the world has an immigration law. Maybe there's one outlier or something. Do you, and we have laws in the United States. Do you believe if people come here and break the law, that they should be escorted out, or do you believe they just get to stay here forever?
Our immigration system is broken. We have not had comprehensive
like the
immigration reform since 1986.
Wu?
May I answer fully?
Yeah, yeah, his time's expired, but
Okay.
feel free to answer. Do you want Mayor Wu to answer your question, or are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Congressman. Yes, I do believe we need, cities everywhere clearly need an immigration law that has secure borders, comprehensive and consistent, compassionate pathways to residency and citizenship, resources to adjudicate the complexities of the law. And at the same time, I do not support mass deportation. That would be devastating for our economy, and there are millions of people who are running our small businesses, going to our schools,
Okay.